Welcome to the Learn True Health podcast. I'm your host, Ashley James. This is
episode 355.
I am so excited for today's interview. I have been I've been having butterflies in my stomach. I've been looking forward to talking with Bob Rasmussen, who is the founder of Intellibed, my new favorite obsession. I'm really excited to talk with you today, Bob. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us today.
Oh, it is totally my pleasure, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you. And I'm glad you've had such a positive experience with Intellibed.
Absolutely. Now, before we dive into your story, which is a very interesting one, I want to share my experience. Back in, I think, 2012, 2013, somewhere around there, my husband and I invested several $1,000s in what we thought was going to be a bed to last us for 10 years or more. A really top of the line mattress. 2 years later, it was warped. And I was so disappointed. I bought it from one of the major big box stores. I noticed that my sleep was totally off. We were very disappointed with this mattress. And we called them up because we remember some kind of guarantee or warranty. And we felt totally misled because they said, oh, well, it's actually retrograde. So we're just going to give you a discount off the next one you buy from us. And I thought, what in the world? Why would I buy another mattress from you guys when the mattress you sold us didn't even last 2 years? So we ended up buying a memory foam topper from Costco just to try to make this mattress last longer because we just didn't know where to turn. And we kept going around to these big box stores, lying on different mattresses, and we weren't really happy, and we kind of were gun shy at this point. And our sleep got worse and worse. And then, of course, we had a kid. So now our sleep is totally messed up. And I noticed that I was going to the chiropractor sometimes 2 or 3 times a week, but definitely once a week I was going to the chiropractor because I'd wake up in pain, and I'd wake up with my neck out. And I kind of just blamed early motherhood. I'm under a lot of stress. We got a baby and we run a business, and I didn't blame the mattress. And we're sleeping on what I didn't realize was toxic foam, memory foam. And now starting the podcast 3 years ago, I was diving in more and more into the health space. And I kept hearing about organic beds and how these off-gassing mattresses can off-gas cancer-causing chemicals. And I started to get more and more concerned. So we were looking for the last 3 years for a good mattress. We ended up buying one that was advertised to us on Facebook as a new age mattress with really fancy advertising. I'm sure everyone listening has seen their advertisements on Facebook, really clever videos. And it came rolled up. And we had the worst sleep on it. I couldn't believe it. So we were able to return it, thank goodness. And right after that, Robin Openshaw, who's been a guest on my show, I've been on her show, she's been on mine. She's Green Smoothie Girl, very famous in the holistic health space. Her and I have become good friends. And she told me about Intellibed, and she said, this is the last mattress you will ever buy. And I couldn't believe it. I'm like, really? Is this hype? She goes, no, this is the last mattress. You will sleep on this mattress for the rest of your life. It will never warp. It is the best sleep you will ever have. And she says, everyone she knows buys an Intellibed and loves it. And this company is ethical. It's not non-toxic. It actually has a ton of science behind it. So I was excited to hear that. But I also, again, I feel like I've been burned by mattress companies in the past. And I jumped in, we got our Intellibed. It's now been, I think we've been sleeping on it for about 40 days now, 40 nights. It is the most magical experience I've ever had. I go to bed lying on my back or lying on my side, and I wake up and it's morning. And I cannot believe that I am no longer waking up through the night. I'm not in pain. I haven't seen ever since we got the Intellibed, I have not once been to the chiropractor. And I love going to the chiropractor, love my chiropractor, but I was in almost constant pain, constantly going to the chiropractor because my mattress was throwing my back out or throwing my neck out, and I didn't realize it. And the Intellibed has solved my sleep issues. solved the pain in the morning. I'm not in pain, stiff in the morning. I don't go to the chiropractor. This is amazing. So my husband has had the exact same experience. But I also love your pillows because I've been having really difficult times with pillows are so weird. They're often full of dust mites, and we've had to do things like put our pillows in the freezer to try to kill the dust mites because my son is allergic to dust mites. And your pillows are non-toxic. They won't, they won't harbor dust mites. And they're also allowing my neck to be it feels like it's just holding me in the perfect position. So I'm so thankful that I found you guys, and I'm so excited for you to share the information that you're here to share today, because you have so much information about the toxicity of mattresses and how and all the science that goes behind creating a mattress that gives perfect sleep. But also, your mattresses are perfect for those who are disabled or who are elderly or who are hospitalized, because they will not create bed sores. So I'm really excited to learn all about this and hear your story. So thank you for letting me share my story, but also I want to let all the listeners know that this is an incredible company, and I'm so thankful that I was introduced to you guys. So thank you for what you've created here today.
Well, it's always so gratifying to me to hear your story and to hear stories like this. I've been at this for almost 20 years now. And I can tell you in all honesty that most of the people that we've talked to, and we've sold tens of thousands of these beds, most of them have an experience very similar to yours. They tried a number of beds with frustration. They didn't know where to turn. And it's not that these other companies are trying to dupe you or fool you. It's just simply that they don't have the kind of materials that Intellibed has available to them to build a mattress that's going to provide the proper support and comfort that you need. And I'm really, really excited about the opportunity to share this science with your listeners.
Absolutely. Now, I've been the type of person, I always thought I liked a really soft mattress because I want to feel like I'm on a pillow, like I'm on a cloud. I don't want to feel the anything poking me when I'm sleeping. You know what I mean? Like a hard mattress is, oh, it's just such a disappointment. So when I go to hotels and it's just this hard mattress, I'm always stiff. And so I've always equated a firm mattress with something negative. But your mattress is both, it's kind of like, it feels like a paradox. Your mattress is firm, but it also feels like I'm floating on top of it and it's cushioning me. So it gives that proper balance between firmness and then making sure that it doesn't create any pressure points, which I love. So we're going to get into the science of it. But first, I really want to hear your story. What led you to design the Intellibed in such a way that has helped so many people?
Well, I went to school and graduated as an engineer and immediately went into the corporate world. I spent 10 years working as a design engineer for Fortune 50 company Honeywell. Spent 10 years there and then was bitten by the entrepreneurial bug. And a good friend of mine was, he was in the process of starting a new research and development company. I ended up being his second employee, and we worked together. One of the first projects that we worked on was a new advanced composite injection moldable wheelchair. And that led us to work on wheelchair cushions, because one thing that we learned early on was that the state-of-the-art wheelchair cushions that people were using weighed about as much as this new wheelchair we were working on. And we thought, wow, one of the things that really helps these paraplegics and quadriplegics is to lighten the load, to make these things lighter. And it was just counterintuitive to think that we were going to put a little wheelchair cushion on there that weighed as much as this wheelchair. And so that really is what launched this company into high-tech cushioning. And we ended up developing a new designed wheelchair cushion that was less than half the weight of the current technology. But the salient point of that whole experience is that's what launched me into a career of high-tech cushioning. And we built that company up. We ended up selling it, but knew at the time that the next project that we would work on was a replacement for foam in mattresses. And it had been literally many, many years, really probably since the 60s when memory foam was introduced to mattresses, since anything really innovative had come to the mattress industry. And that was kind of the design, or the strategy of this company, was to pick a category or an industry that was ripe for innovation and then see if we could come up with something better. And that led into probably a 4-year development phase to come up with this foam replacement, which led to the invention of this gel matrix material. And so the company assigned several patents, filed for several patents for this technology, and they tried to take it to market. And back in 2000, I was blessed with the opportunity to acquire this technology and started Intellibed. And so were it not for this technology, I would not be in the mattress industry. And you're going to learn today the science behind what makes this so different, so revolutionary, so breakthrough, why so many people are just thrilled about what this new bed is doing for them.
Now, we have a page, learntohealth.com/bed, and on there's 2 videos. One is you giving a webinar, which is fantastic. I love it. It's about, I think, 20 minutes long. And then the other one is a detailed informational video that is riveting. And I really liked both of them. And I asked Intellibed, I asked you guys to put those videos on the page. That also gives the special that you're offering all the Learn True Health listeners, which I'm very excited about. And that's a 10% discount, free shipping, 2 of your Intellibed pillows, the IntelliPillows, which I am a big fan of, and then a free mattress protector. And so that is available for those in the U.S. There's you ship to those in the U.S. and then those in Canada can get shipping. Might not be the same special, but please still go to the learntruehealth.com/bed to get the information and call the phone number. So with that, on those videos, you were sharing some very interesting information. One of them is the ways in which you measure pressure points. So in the 4 years of the R&D and the 4 years of the development that took to make Intellibed, can you talk a bit about the science and the technology that went into trying to figure out how to design a bed that would be perfect for posture and perfect for pressure points?
Yes, the science that you're talking about are these pressure mapping devices. These are $10,000 mats that you can put on top of a sleep surface, on top of a mattress, and it'll actually measure the interface pressure across your entire body. And so what you will see is any places where the pressure would get to be uncomfortable. And we have pressure mapped literally tens of thousands of people's customers of all different shapes and sizes. And that really helped validate that we had something different. In fact, the first licensor of the gel matrix technology was a company called Gamar, who was later purchased by Stryker Industries, one of the largest medical component supplier in the world. And the technology, this gel matrix technology, was actually curing bed sores that other beds were causing, which was almost unheard of, to have a non-mechanical system, meaning that there's no pumps, no air, nothing mechanical, just the material itself that was causing, or that was curing bed sores up to stage 4 bed sores. And actually, it's important to know what causes a bed sore in this discussion, because that's germane to what happens when we're sleeping. A bed sore is caused by excessive pressure on the tissue. And what happens is the blood supply is cut off from the tissue, which results in the tissue actually dying. It dies from the inside out because there are no nutrients there. And after a couple of hours, you can start to develop a bed sore. And so what happens when you're sleeping is that your body knows that. And if you have these excessive pressure points like you would typically see on your hips and shoulders from these other technologies, and that is what causes you, what happens is your brain wakes you up, it disturbs you from the deeper sleeping or the deeper phases of sleep, the stages of sleep, so that you turn over. And you might think that you slept all night, but if your sleep is fragmented, what happens is you don't complete your sleep cycles, right? It takes about 90 minutes for us to complete a sleep cycle, and typically through a normal night we'll have 4 to 5 of these 90-minute sleep cycles. And if you're not completing those, in other words, if your sleep is fragmented, caused by tossing and turning or any of these other sleep interrupters that tend to bother us, let's say you're a light sleeper and your partner moves and it wakes you up, or you sleep hot and you're sleeping hot and you're sweating at night and it wakes you up, then you're likely not completing these sleep cycles. And that is significantly detrimental to your health. Many of the autoimmune diseases, heart disease, diabetes, and these disease states are caused specifically by not getting the stages 3 and 4, or the delta sleep that we need in the bottom of these sleep cycles. So it's absolutely critical that the sleep surface provide enough pressure relief that you're not tossing and turning all night. And so back to your original thought that we had done all this pressure mapping, what we were doing was validating the ability of this technology to relieve those pressure points that other mattresses cause. And the result was that we see significant reduction in tossing and turning, and we see the kind of results that Stryker was proving with these with curing bed sores that these other beds create.
That's amazing. Have you done sleep studies or had people sort of like had their brains hooked up to something to determine that they are going through their sleep cycles? Can you tell us about other sort of scientific ways that you measure that the Intellibed is improving people's sleep?
We did a study jointly with a Stanford-trained sleep scientist, Dr. Robert Troll, out of Las Vegas, and we actually had one of the real expensive memory foam beds and one of the air chamber beds and our bed in his facility. And what he did in this study was he would put half the night, he would put them on one of these other beds, all wired up so that he can measure their brain waves and validate whether or not people were getting into the delta stages of sleep, stages 3 and 4. And then the other half of the night, he'd put them on an Intellibed. And he came out at the end of that study and said without a question that the Intellibed provides the best, what was the term that he used? The best sleep efficiency of any bed that he has seen. And so he endorses that bed. And that's the nearest thing to an actual sleep study that we've done. Most of the evidence that we have is just anecdotal, like your experience, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
People talking about how much better they're sleeping, waking up refreshed, not waking up with pain, and so forth.
What I found really interesting is I am now waking up before my alarm clock. We have a 7 a.m. alarm clock, Monday through Friday, and I'm waking up fully refreshed. I open my eyes and I kind of have this moment of panic, like, oh, did I forget to set the alarm? Oh my gosh, I must have slept in, because I feel so refreshed. I feel like I slept in. And then I look at my phone and see the time, and I'm like, oh, I woke up totally refreshed before the alarm, and I feel like I'm on vacation. I just got 9-10 hours of sleep because I just feel so good.
Yeah.
It boggles my mind. So it really, when you say sleep efficiency, that really does make sense. It's very cool. Is there anything else that you love discovering in the early years of creating Intellibed when it came to sleep and when it came to the technology that you put into creating these mattresses?
When we saw the ability of this material to relieve pressure, we just got so excited about it and knew that we were onto something different. And so I always knew one of the great benefits of having consulted with doctors and specifically physical therapists, chiropractors, literally thousands of different medical professionals, is that it's an extremely challenging and difficult task to properly support and comfort the human body. First of all, our bodies, if you think of the density of our body, starting from our head, the densest and heaviest part of our body is our lower torso. And that is exactly where we need the support, right? So when we talk about support in a mattress, let me just be clear what we mean by that. We mean that the mattress cannot allow the hips to sag further into the bed than any other part of the body. So if you think about standing up straight, your head is centered above your shoulders and your hips are centered beneath your shoulders. That is the proper posture. And when you lie down, you have to maintain that same posture. But because our bodies are these different densities, gravity is pulling on our lower torso harder than the rest of our body. And so the midsection of the body wants to sag further into the bed than the rest of the body. And that's exactly the opposite of what you want to happen. And so the experience that you had waking up with back pain, I can guarantee you that was caused by the fact that the mattress that you had not purchased that long ago was sagging more in the middle. Because if you think about it, that's also where all the work is happening in the mattress, right? The heaviest part of the body in the center of the bed is where the mattress is doing all the work. The materials in the bed are breaking down faster in the center of the bed than the rest of the bed, causing the hips to sag into this misalignment. And for many of us, just a very slight misalignment has total devastating effects on us. We're starting to wake up with back pain. And like you said, it's very, very common that people will just associate that with them getting older or having kids or some other external factor. They don't blame it on their mattress because they know they bought a mattress that's going to last for 10 plus years, right? That's what the warranty said. But the truth of the matter is that the materials that are used in most of the beds, even the very expensive beds, begin to quickly break down. And it's that breakdown that causes all the problem. And because it breaks down more in the center of the bed, it leads to this misalignment that we're talking about, where the hips start to sag into the bed. And the most important thing that the mattress needs to do is to prevent that from happening. And so one of the other very synergistic benefits that we learned early on is that this gel matrix material doesn't break down like foam does. And so we did significant durability testing on this, and now we have 20 years of experience with it out in the field, and we're seeing less than a 5% breakdown of this material over the life of the bed, whereas with these other materials, even most of the dense foams, they'll soften 20 to 40% over the first 2 years. So your experience is exactly a result of sleeping on inferior materials that can't possibly provide long-term comfort and support. And one of the significant breakthroughs of gel matrix material is it does not soften like these other materials tend to.
The amount of mattresses that people go through in their lifetime, considering how quickly they break down, it's not very good for our environment. Your mattress, which lasts over 20 years, it just, people would be using less mattresses, so that's better for the environment. But I actually I came across someone recently who knew you and knew a story. And so I'm not going to tell your story, but I'm going to ask you, could you tell the story? He told me that that you have one of the first Intellibeds you guys created, and that you've slept on it for, I guess, 20 years now, and that you brought it back in to have it tested to see how much it has warped, and it was quite surprising what you discovered. Can you tell that story?
Yeah, well, you could not tell that bed had been slept on. Honestly, I pulled the mattress protector off, and it looked as good as it did the day that I brought it home. And there's a couple reasons for this. First of all, The foundation of Intellibed, besides the gel matrix material, is that we use tempered steel inner springs for support. We use a individually pocketed coil with high density springs that don't break down. And so what that does is it prevents the hips from sagging. And because of the durability of these tempered steel inner springs, they don't sag over time. And then the second thing is that the gel matrix is so resilient, it just continues to rebound with the same force over and over and over again. And so, yeah, I slept on that bed for so long because I'd been telling people that this stuff is not going to break down. And they were very skeptical about it, right? It just looks like the configuration of it would be prone to breaking down, but it doesn't. That's the remarkable thing about this material, is that it is so resilient. It's actually, we call it a gel. It's gel matrix. It's actually a very soft, supple, but really, really strong rubber that totally resists fatigue. And so it will bounce back over and over and over again without the breakdown that you see in these other beds. And when I opened that bed up that I'd been on for, actually that bed, I've got two that I talk about when I speak of the durability of the beds. One of them is one of the first toppers that ever came off our production line. And that topper is in one of my bedrooms. It's slept on regularly. That topper is over 20 years old. And it feels as good as the day that I brought it home. And then the other one I started sleeping on in 2005. The only reason that I switched is because we developed this new high-end bed that actually had 1.5 layers of gel matrix in there, and I wanted to see how that held up. So 2.5 years ago, I switched beds, and that's when I brought this one I've been sleeping on for so long in, and opened it up and tested it. And yeah, it was really remarkable.
When you say tested it, you have like machines that measure the amount of distortion in a mattress?
The first thing that you do, and anybody who's had problems with their mattress knows that you put a straight edge across the mattress and you measure the depth of the indentation, right? And most manufacturers say that if it's an inch or an inch and a half or 2 inches, if it's more than that, then it's covered under warranty. Well, so the first thing that you can do is just visually inspect the bed, right? And you can see whether or not there's a body impression in it. You can push on it across the surface of the bed and feel if there's soft spots. So all those things that we did. And then we took the cover off and inspected the gel itself. And the gel looked as pristine as it did the day that it came off the factory floor. And so that's what the testing consisted of. Is it was still very there were no soft spots in the bed. In other words, we felt across the entire surface of the bed directly on the gel matrix material, and it felt identical all the way across the entire surface of the bed. And I had been sleeping on it. It felt to me as good as it did when I first brought it home, which, as you well know, that's very unusual. Most of the beds that we sleep on, because the materials break down so quickly, it doesn't feel anything like the bed did when we first brought it home, right?
Right.
And it's like, what happened to this bed? It must be me. I must be getting older, because there's no possible way this thing could be breaking down this quickly. But it's true. The testing that we have done, especially on these memory foam products, these polyurethane foam products, even the high-end latex products, even though they don't lose their loft, they will soften considerably. And as mentioned, they soften more in the center of the bed because that's where all the work's happening, and that's what causes your hips to sag further and further into the bed, causing this misalignment. And then you're waking up with back pain. It's like, geez, I just must be getting old because my bed isn't that old.
Right. And we blame the bed, and that the bed is or we blame ourselves and not the bed. A lot of people don't realize that their bed could be their problem. And a lot of people like me go towards memory foam or memory foam toppers because they're fairly affordable. And if your bed feels uncomfortable, let's just go to Costco and buy some 2-inch or even a 4-inch memory foam topper, and now it feels like you have a memory foam bed. But the video that's on the page learntruehealth.com/bed. The video that you have talks about Australia and what happened with memory foam. Can you talk about that? Because it's very concerning, and I didn't realize how much VOCs, how much off-gassing and dangerous chemicals we're breathing in when we have memory foam.
Yeah, so for the benefit of your listeners, VLC stands for volatile organic compounds, and it simply means materials that can easily leach out of the bed and become airborne. And you're breathing those things. And obviously, when you're on your bed at night, you're literally inches, or you even have your face buried into the pillows and the mattresses, and so you're breathing in those off-gassing materials. Polyurethane foam in and of itself is non-toxic. It's inert, meaning that it won't react chemically with anything else that's out there. And the problem that we've caused ourselves since the federal government got involved and put these stringent requirements on mattresses so that they wouldn't burn up in a fire, they started adding chemicals to the base polyurethane foam. And then somebody got the brilliant idea to try and change the properties of the material. So they added chemicals to cause the foam to slow rebound instead of rebound initially. Unfortunately, mattress manufacturers, they have to meet this standard, this burn standard, but they don't have to disclose the various materials that are used. Many of the fire retardants, in fact, most of the fire retardants that are used in foam are known carcinogens, and not all of them, but many of them are. And if you can't, the problem that you have is you can't figure out what is in those foams, what is off-gassing. You can smell it because there's a terrible odor that comes off of it, but you don't know what those materials are. So you don't know if they're toxic or not. And for most people, again, most of the stuff that you see on the internet is anecdotal. People complaining of headaches and dizziness and the long-term effects of cancer and so forth caused by these materials. And so that's the challenge for the consumer. And I tell people this all the time: listen, if you can't identify what specifically the fire retardants are in the bed and what materials that they're used to change the properties of the foam, you probably ought to avoid that bed. And it's nearly impossible to figure that stuff out, because even if the manufacturer were to disclose that, what's the likelihood that they've trained their sales reps to teach the consumer what's being off-gassed? So what you need to do is you need to find a company that has done all that work for you and is committed to developing the safest sleeping surfaces that are out there. And that's one thing that I'm really proud of. We've gone through and vetted every single component that we put in these beds. And I can tell you, first of all, that the gel matrix material is completely non-toxic. The main ingredient in gel matrix is food-grade mineral oil. And the core material itself, the base material, has been approved for use in baby bottle nipples and many, many children's toys. It's been cytotoxicity tested and hemolysis tested. It scores a 0 on those tests, so it's completely non-toxic. There are no side effects in our manufacturing facility. We don't have to have our workers wear gas masks or anything like that. So it's among the safest materials that have been brought to the market. Of course, tempered steel innersprings don't off-gas anything. And the little bit of foam that we use in the beds has all been CertiPure tested to be free from any fire retardants and any of these dangerous memory foam type chemicals. And then the way that we pass the standard for the burn test is we use a silica fiber wrap, a shield that goes around the outside of the mattress that prevents the flames from getting inside the bed. And so that's that's what we've done. We're really proud of the fact that even though these beds, we would not classify them as organic beds, and I can talk about organic beds here in a minute. They're not what you would typically consider organic, but far more important than that, they are non-toxic.
The Intellibed's non-toxic. I know it has 100% organic cotton cover.
Correct.
We'll definitely get into organic in a sec. I just wanted to. There was an interesting story about Australia and how they discovered that the memory foam beds were linked to sudden infant death. Do you have more details about that?
Yeah, there was a study by a doctor, a 10-year study by Dr. James Sprott, and it wasn't necessarily the memory foam. What happened was that it was specifically the antimony that was a fire retardant in the mattresses that was causing a chemical reaction and producing toxic gas. And so this Dr. Sprott surmised that if he was able to keep these off-gassing materials from leaching out of the bed, that it would solve the problem with crib death or with SIDS. And so what he did was he wrapped the crib mattresses in an impermeable barrier that would keep anything off-gassing from the mattress inside the bed. And in 10 years, the incident of SIDS dropped to zero.
In all of Australia.
Yeah, well, in all of his test subjects, in 10 years, there was not a single death that occurred due to SIDS death. So with that question, if you Google James Sprott, and his study will come up, and he just talks about the fact that he makes the point in his opening paragraph that most people don't think that the cause of SIDS is known. And he says that is not true. It's caused by toxic nerve gases that are produced from these various chemicals. Antimony specifically identifies, or antimony, depending on how you want to pronounce it. But this material would off gas this poison gas, and that's what was causing the SIDS. So it's a really interesting study. It's interestingly, here in the United States, it's not generally accepted, but I don't know how you could possibly argue with the results, right?
Oh,
I don't
absolutely.
know how many test subjects that he had, but it dropped the incident of crib death dropped to zero in 10 years. So it's pretty clear that it's an off-gassing issue from the mattresses that the babies were sleeping on.
That makes total sense. And it's so sad how many people have toxic mattresses and how many health issues they're causing. And we're the most vulnerable when we sleep. That's when our body is regenerating. And we spend, hopefully 8 hours a day on a mattress, 7 or 8. But if we're breathing in these chemicals, and they're not off-gassing just while it smells, they're off-gassing for years. That's what we have to understand, is that a mattress you bought a few years ago could still be off-gassing chemicals and harming you.
Exactly. And yeah, don't be fooled about that. They'll continue to off-gas for many, many years.
So let's talk about organic mattresses, because that's something that I looked into. First of all, they're quite expensive, although on Amazon you can buy quote unquote organic, some kind of latex organic. That's what they claim it is. And thank goodness I almost bought one. Thank goodness I didn't. But can you talk about what are these, and some organic mattresses have wool in them, or they're kind of like futons filled with cotton, or quote unquote organic latex. Tell us about these mattresses that claim that they're organic versus an Intellibed.
Well, there's a lot of different styles of these beds and different materials that are used in the bed. Most of them use an organic latex material, and the problem with the organic latex material is that it simply breaks down too quickly. And so you talk about these other polyurethane foams and memory foams that break down 20 to 40% over the first couple of years. The organic beds will break down even faster than that. And so you spend $4, $5, $6, $8,000 on one of those beds, and it literally is unsleepable after a couple of years. And I've just had multiple reports from people that have spent a lot of money on these things, and they just break down too quickly. So although you solve one of your problems, you get rid of the toxicity in your bedroom, you create a whole slew of other problems because you're losing support, you're waking up with back pain, and you're losing your comfort.
So it really is, we need to have clean materials, and we need to have the science behind the mattress to make sure that we have the perfect sleep posture and the support so that we don't create those pressure points, which is what you've gone for with Intellibed.
Yeah, and actually that's what I'm really excited to talk to you about.
All right, let's get into it.
You know, we look at these other benefits, the fact that it's non-toxic, that's important to us, but we consider that a fringe benefit. The fact that this mattress lasts so long, that's a fringe benefit of this gel matrix material. The real science of this material is that this is the first material that exhibits two different behaviors through the course of its cushioning cycle. So when you first lie down on a bed, your hips and your shoulders stick out further than the rest of your body, and so on traditional mattresses, most of your support, most of your weight is transferred to the mattress through your hips and shoulders. And so traditional materials only exhibit one behavior through their cushioning cycle. And what that means is that when you lie down, the further you compress those materials, the harder they push back. So there's this linear relationship between the depth that you sink into a material and the resistance or the pushback force. So let's say you lie down and you sink in an inch, and it results in a certain pushback force on your hips and shoulders. If you sink in 2 inches, it's twice that force. If you sink in 3 inches, it's 3 times that force. So there's this linear relationship, and because your hips and shoulders stick out the furthest, you get these significant pressure points on your hips and shoulders. And there's nothing you can do to stop that from happening. We have tested literally all of these foam products out there, whether it's the air chamber bed, the memory foam bed. You think that you're sleeping on air or on memory foam. The fact of the matter is you're sleeping on at least 6 inches of foam in those beds. And it's the foam that's causing these pressure points because they only exhibit this one behavior of a compressible material that the further you compress it, the harder it pushes back. And so your hips and shoulders are sensitive. We talked about what causes a bed sore earlier. And what happens is the blood supply is cut off beneath the tissue, and your brain knows that, and so it wakes you up and causes you to move. The higher the pressure, I mean, think about lying down on the floor. You can only lie down on the floor for a couple minutes before you're moving, right? Because it just becomes uncomfortable. Your brain tells your body that you need to move or you're going to get a bed sore. And so you can't eliminate that problem using traditional materials. That's simply a fact of the materials themselves and the physics of how those materials behave. But gel matrix behaves totally different. In fact, it behaves the opposite of foam. So instead of starting out soft and becoming harder and harder the further you push in, gel matrix starts out firm and becomes soft under the areas that would cause sufficient pressure. And let me explain how that works, because it's really, really a breakthrough. So if you go to the website, you can see a picture of what this gel matrix material looks like. It's a grid. It's got hollow columns that are about 1 inch square with this comfort grid. And what happens is this comfort grid behaves like a series of columns. If you think of a column that holds up a bridge, for example, if you overload that bridge, the column will fail and the bridge collapses. It's incapable of supporting the weight that it did before, right? And so all of these support members in this comfort grid behave like that. And they are engineered that they will buckle right at the point where it becomes uncomfortable to the human body. So when we lie down on this bed with gel matrix, it stands firm, and then all of a sudden under the hips and shoulders where you have excessive pressure, the gel matrix material collapses under those areas, then it becomes incapable of supporting the weight under there, and it transfers the support to the broader surfaces of the body where you don't have excessive pressure. So the unique result is that you get a very, very even distribution of pressure. And we say that this is the first material that's ever brought to the mattress industry that is both firm and soft at the same time. And that sounds contradictory, right? How can something be both firm and soft at the same time? Well, the answer to that is that we have a material that exhibits two different behaviors through the course of its cushioning cycle. It starts out really firm. In fact, it's about 4 times firmer than most of the foams that are used in mattresses. So you need firm support on the broad surfaces of the body. You get that because this is much, much firmer than the traditional foams that are used. But then you need soft comfort on the hips and shoulders. You get that because what happens is these gel columns buckle underneath your hips and shoulders, allowing those areas to sink deeply into the mattress without pressure points. So an even distribution of pressure, significant back support, your hips don't sag into the bed because this material doesn't break down, and you get the best of both worlds. In the past, you could buy a firm bed, which was great for your back, but terrible for your comfort, or you could buy a soft bed, which was more comfortable to sleep on, but before long, you're waking up with pain. How do you solve that compromise? You cannot solve it using traditional materials. The only way to solve that is to use a material that behaves differently than traditional materials, and gel matrix is that material.
That's been my experience exactly. That I feel when I lie down on it, I feel like I'm not sinking in. I feel like I'm on top of it. I'm floating like on a cloud. I'm floating on top. My spine is totally aligned, and yet I don't feel any pressure at all under my hips, under my shoulder. I'm a side sleeper, but after getting this bed, I've caught myself sleeping an entire night on my back and being totally comfortable because it doesn't create any of that pressure on my lower back.
It's exactly doing what it's designed to do. And we actually, I mean, when we first conceived the name of the company, this idea of Intellibed came to mind. And the reason that we call it Intellibed is because it automatically senses and adjusts no matter what position you sleep in. It's designed and engineered so that the support members will collapse whether you're on your back or on your side, exactly where you want it to. Other parts of your body where you need the support, it stands firm. And so Intellibed really fit. It intelligently senses what your body needs, and it delivers it without any kind of adjustments, without any kind of, regardless of where you're sleeping on the surface of the bed, regardless of the position that you sleep in, whether you're a back sleeper or a side sleeper, or heaven forbid, even a stomach sleeper. It's going to support you correctly, eliminating the sag that you get with these other technologies. And, you know, it's one thing, I hear people all the time say that, you know, I was waking up in pain, so I replaced my bed, and they'll talk about these various other beds that are out there and how it solved their problem. Well, it will do that when they're new, but you need to consider what that bed's going to do in a couple years from now.
Mm-hmm.
Because all of us have experience with beds breaking down really quickly and not being able to provide the comfort and support that you need. So we talked about durability already, and the one of the side benefits of this gel matrix material is that it's so durable.
Mm-hmm. What about EMFs? You mentioned about the metal that is used in making your bed, and I've had a few experts on the show, Sal LaDuca being one of them, who are experts in EMFs in the home, and it's concerning to sleep on a traditional mattress with coil springs near outlets can increase EMF, and so you're basically sleeping on a big electromagnetic field. What about Intellibed and EMFs?
Well, that is a concern. The concern again is that because all the springs are all tied together and they're in this coil shape, right, that they amplify the EMFs. In the first place, the pocket coils that we use are individually wrapped coils, so they're not a continuous wire. that would tend to amplify the EMFs. So if you're sensitive to EMFs, I don't think that you're going to have any issue. And then the other thing that you need to know is that we put an encasement around, a 6-inch encasement, all the way around these springs. And so the likelihood of EMFs being magnified are so minuscule. And we have access to a number of studies that have been done to evaluate the risk of EMF amplification by inner springs, and we have not seen any significant evidence to suggest that it's something to worry about. But just in case, we've done these other things to help even minimize things further by individually wrapping the coils and by putting this foam encasement around the coils that further will eliminate the risk of any EMF amplification.
Mm-hmm. I never knew I was sensitive to EMFs until I started learning about them. And so for fun, I unplugged everything near my bed. We turned the Wi-Fi off at night, and I noticed that when I sleep on a bed near things that are plugged in, like electrical outlets, that I feel agitated. And when the Wi-Fi's on, I feel agitated. And then when when we have the power goes out, like a storm comes through and the power goes out, because we live in a rural area, about half an hour outside of Seattle, and the power will go out in the windstorms, and I get the best sleep then because there's low EMF. So I started to think, wow, I might be sensitive to it. And I noticed that I do not have any issues with the Intellibed. I don't feel that agitation. I don't feel like I'm in an electromagnetic field. But I just bought one of those machines that measures EMF for fun. My husband's like, "Come on, let's get one of those machines and like go around and measure all the EMFs in our house." So when I get it, I'll measure our bed and let you know.
We've had a couple of influencers do that same thing, Ashley, and all of them have reported to us that they see absolutely no amplification of the EMF fields with the bed. So yeah, I'll be very interested to hear your experience as well.
Very cool. Now, what about this idea of sleeping hot versus sleeping cool? I noticed that when I did have the memory foam topper on our old beat up mattress, that it was very hot and uncomfortable, especially in the summertime, because memory foam will contain heat, whereas the gel matrix doesn't retain heat. It doesn't feel cold. I don't feel cold on the mattress, but I just feel very neutral, a very comfortable temperature. But I'm hearing that your temperature and the temperature of the material you're sleeping with can affect your sleep. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. If you're sleeping hot, you're waking up. You're waking up in sweats, and sometimes it's very difficult to get cooled back down again. You got to get out of bed and cool down, which obviously interrupts your sleep cycles, right? And so it's important that you sleep on a bed that's actually temperature neutral. And the problem with most of the foams, especially a high density foam, like a 4 or 5 pound density memory foam or latex foam, those foam materials are insulators. And so what they do is they reflect the heat back. They trap your body heat against your body. And that is the reason that you wake up sweating. You need a material that's going to dissipate that heat. And the beautiful thing about gel matrix, first of all, it is massively ventilated. So you get great ventilation in the bed. And then secondarily, the material itself conducts the heat away from you in a manner that it dissipates it in the deeper recesses of the mattress. And so what tends to happen is you sleep very temperature neutral. You don't sleep hot, you don't sleep cold. Obviously, if the room itself is hot, then you're going to have to kick some covers off and maybe turn the air conditioning down, because if you're sleeping in a room that's 75 or 80 degrees, you're likely going to start sweating. But the mattress itself won't trap your body heat against you, and so it sleeps very temperature neutral.
Very interesting. What else have you seen the Intellibed do that other beds don't do? Like, have you seen people report that they have less pain, or that their symptoms are diminishing? Because you talked about diseases that are exacerbated by poor sleep.
Yeah. So the reason that, well, we talked about pillows earlier. I want to talk about pillows in this segment since we're talking about pain. And most of the time, pain is caused by misalignments or excessive pressure. So if you have hip pain or shoulder pain, it's likely due to excessive pressure. If you're waking up with your arms numb, geez, in the 20 years I've been sleeping on my Intellibed, I've never woke up with a numb arm. And the reason for that is that you don't have the excessive pressure points that are caused on those areas, that they're sensitive to pressure. And so most of that hip or shoulder pain is eliminated. Now, you might have a physiological condition that it doesn't matter what bed you sleep on, it's not going to solve the problem, right? So don't expect a miracle cure. But for most of us, the ailments that we have at night are caused by simple misalignments or excessive pressure. And because these beds do such a great job of eliminating pressure and providing adequate support for your skeletal structure, it will eliminate pain. And one of the most gratifying things about what we've done at Intellibed is to get letters and to get people that will stop us at a trade show or something like that and tell us that, sometimes with tears rolling down their face, that for the first time in years they're sleeping pain-free. And it's simply because we have the science in these beds to eliminate most of the problems that other beds cause. And so eliminating pain or reducing pain, getting you to sleep, even if it's to complete 2 or 3 more sleep cycles at night, can have a dramatic effect on your health and the way that you feel in the morning. And like I mentioned before, that is by far the most gratifying part of what we've done, just to hear people talk about getting their lives back and being able to go to work and being able to maintain the lifestyle that they want to maintain.
You know, my husband had not had dreams in years. We've been married for 11 years, and he could not, I tell him my dreams, and he'd be like, I don't dream. I don't dream. And I'm like, well, maybe you just don't remember them. Ever since we started sleeping on the Intellibed, he's had dreams. He goes, I can't believe it. And he's sleeping better. He wakes up, totally refreshed, but he wakes up remembering his dreams of having vivid, wonderful dreams. And I'm noticing I'm having sort of more detailed dreams. And that's part of being in those sleep cycles longer without being interrupted, right?
That's exactly right. So you're getting into the deeper stages of sleep. There are 4 stages of sleep: stages 1, 2, 3, and 4. Stages 3 and 4 are the most beneficial to us. It's the delta sleep. That's when the brain really slows down and the brain waves become very, very slow. And that is where the body consolidates its memory, it builds its immune system, and it heals itself. And so, as mentioned, I mean, I saw a report that 60 Minutes did not long ago. It was actually a few years ago, where they took a perfectly healthy 20-year-old college student and wired him up at night, and every time he would get into the delta stages of sleep where the brain waves slowed, it would alert him, and he would not go into the delta sleep, and he'd wake up in the morning thinking that he'd slept a full night, but he, in a week's time of doing that, in just 1 week's time, he was in a pre-diabetic condition.
Mm-hmm.
We think about diabetes being caused by all the sugar that we eat and the poor diet that we have. We don't associate it with poor sleep, but this study clearly pointed out that the main cause of his problem was his lack of delta sleep. And so we're just learning about the poor effects of not completing our sleep cycles and so forth. But there's enough evidence out there to suggest that It's really, really, really critical that you get on a bed that eliminates as many of these factors that cause you to wake up and not complete your sleep cycles as possible. And the Intellibed, I'm really proud to say, is the best system that we have seen at eliminating these kind of problems. And so if you think about it, we've really identified 4 or 5 key criteria that you would consider, that you need to consider when buying a new bed. One of them, just to review, one of them is motion transfer. So if you're a light sleeper and your partner moves and it's waking you up, you can eliminate that by being on a bed that, first of all, your partner is not going to toss and turn as much. But secondly, the motion is dampened as they move. These are among the most motion dampening beds that are available on the market, certainly that have a tempered steel innerspring in them, because most foam core beds that lose the ability to support you quickly, they don't transfer motion at all. But these, for a tempered steel innerspring bed, virtually eliminate all motion transfer. Then we talked about sleep temperature, right? If you're waking up at night in sweats because your memory foam bed or your latex bed's trapping your body heat against you, that can cause you to lose sleep. But the biggest thing that this bed does is it's the only bed that's on the market that is simultaneously firm and soft as you sleep on it. It's firm where you need it, soft where you want it, and it doesn't matter the sleeping position or your location on the bed. It's going to provide that substantial pressure relief and support. So being firm and soft at the same time, there's not another bed that's out there that can provide that. And then another just beautiful, amazing benefit of this bed is it's going to provide consistent comfort and support for many, many years. So the bed's going to feel like new for years and years to come. And so those 5 key criteria that we just mentioned, there is not another bed that can deliver on all 5 of those things like the Intellibed can. And that's why it's such a blessing for us, Ashley, to be able to get the word out to listeners, because your followers are concerned about their health, and they're willing to invest, they're willing to take the time to do the things that they need to live a healthy lifestyle. So again, we so much appreciate the wonderful opportunity to spend this hour or so with you and explain the breakthrough of this technology.
Absolutely. When I used to be diabetic and I reversed it with natural means. I had type 2 diabetes. I no longer do, but I have a glucometer to be able to take my morning blood sugar just to check in, make sure I'm on the right path. And when I'd first given birth and my sleep was very disrupted. Our son had colic and we were up 6 times, 12 times a night. And I would take my blood sugar, and I noticed on the days that I had very, very bad sleep that my blood sugar all day long would be out of control. Even though I'm not diabetic, it would just be not in healthy ranges for me. And I noticed I was hungrier. I'd have more cravings. Obviously, I was more tired. But I really saw that there was this correlation between my depth and healthy sleep and my ability to have stable blood sugar and not have cravings. And on the times that I had restless sleep, or maybe I drank coffee too late at night, or did something to kind of overstimulate myself, that the next day, if I had poor sleep, the next day my blood sugar was off, my cravings were up, and of course irritable, brain fog, all the things that happen when we have poor sleep. And since using the Intellibed, I haven't had any of those problems, which is really exciting. You talk about the no transfer of sensation of your partner being near you or rolling around on the bed. Every morning I wake up and I go to roll over to cuddle my husband, and he's gone. And because he wakes up before me, but in the past, in our old bed, he'd get up off the bed and that would wake me up. And so then I'm like, oh, it's the morning time. But now he gets up out of bed, and he's not he is 6'7". He is not a gentle, ballerina. When he gets out of bed, he's being a man about it. And the bed doesn't shake I don't feel a thing. I stay totally asleep. And then when I wake up, I'm surprised I'm waking up before the alarm clock, fully awake, and like my body is just ready to wake up. And none of his movements in the night had me wake up. So I totally know what you're saying about it doesn't transfer the sensation, but it doesn't feel weird. It feels like a very, very comfortable bed. It doesn't feel awkward at all. It feels just like I'm floating on top of it. And when we first received it, when it was shipped to us, we immediately slept on it. It didn't off gas. It didn't smell like anything. It was safe to sleep on right away. I know there's some beds that are UK. It's like unsafe to be in the same room as the bed for like 2 days or 3 days while it's off gassing. So I noticed that right away. I immediately put my head in the Intellibed to smell it just to see, because I know you guys said it didn't off gas, but I wanted to test it for myself and didn't smell like anything. It was amazing. And I slept on my arm, like on my side, to try to get my arm to go numb like it would do with any other bed. And I still haven't been able to get any limb to go numb by staying in one position the whole night. So my experience is exactly what you're saying.
Well, that's it's gratifying to hear you say that. It's not a bit surprising to me because there's real science in here. I wanted to mention one other thing you were talking about when you were pregnant. You couldn't control your blood sugar, and many women struggle with gestational diabetes when they're pregnant. And I wonder if the cause of that isn't because that their sleep cycles are so erratic when they're pregnant because they can't get comfortable. That is what's going on there, and all the evidence seemed to suggest that. And so, if you're dealing with any of these disease states, such as any of the autoimmune diseases, there's more and more evidence to suggest that the cause of them or the amplification of them is being caused by not getting the deep stages of sleep. And so that's part of what we're trying to do, is just get the message out there that stop thinking that it's just because you're getting old that you're not sleeping as well as you used to. Get on a bed with some real science behind it and see if it doesn't help. And we're not going to guarantee that it's going to cure your ailments or your problems, but one thing that I am very confident about is that it's not going to make things worse for you. In other words, there's not going to be a bed that's going to provide better support, better pressure relief out there. There's not going to be a bed that lasts as long as this one. And so all of these key criteria that you would consider in making the purchase of a bed, the Intellibed really delivers.
You talk about guarantee. What is the guarantee in Intellibed? My understanding is that it's way more. Your warranty or your guarantee is way more than a lot of other mattress companies out there.
Yeah, well, let's talk about a guarantee. We do offer a 90-day money back guarantee when you buy the bed. So I know that there's a huge risk or worry that you're going to buy something and it's not going to help you sleep better, and you spend a lot of money on it. I mean, we're not talking cheap. These beds, even though they are among the most durable, least cost to operate beds that are out there, they're a pretty significant investment up front. A queen size Intellibed is going to be in the $4,500 range. So it's not cheap. It is very price competitive with many of the other high-end beds that you see out there. So you can easily spend that much on a Tempur-Pedic or a Sleep Number or a traditional pillow top bed. But it is an investment. We recognize that. So the first thing that we do is we offer a 90-day money-back guarantee. We're very flexible with that. So we'll work with you. If you think you're sleeping better, but you're getting close to the guarantee, to the end of the 90 days, it's very common for us to give you another 30 days or 60 days, and we'll work with you. But then the warranty it's the best warranty that I'm aware of in the industry. It is a non-prorated 20-year warranty, meaning that most beds out there only have a 10-year warranty, and the first 5 years is the only thing that's covered fully. So this is a full 20-year non-prorated warranty. And I can tell you, we've been building these beds for almost 20 years. Last year, we spent less than $10,000 on warranty issues. So we know that these beds are well built. We have years and years of experience with them, and they really deliver what we say they do.
That is so cool. So, in the 20-year warranty, how much warped or how worn does the Intellibed need to be for the warranty to kick in?
It's 3/4 of an inch, and like I said, I've never seen one with any kind of body impression in it, but it's 3/4 of an inch. And if you have that, then just call our toll-free warranty department, and we'll work with you and get it taken care of.
That is very cool. I love that. Um, so my experience with the old mattress that I bought from a major store, Sleep Something, a major box store, back in, I think it was 2012, we spent close to, I think it was like $2,200 on our bed, and it was warped in 2 years. So if I took their warranty, which would have given me just a somewhat of a discount on my next mattress, I would have been buying a mattress every 2 to 5 years from them versus buying one from you every 20 years. And it sounds like even though you have a 20-year warranty, that they last well beyond the 20 years. So even though yours are price competitive, there's a big savings there if you only buy one mattress for the rest of your life versus one every 2 to 5 years.
Really, it really is one of the best values out there, especially when you consider the fact that you're going to get consistent comfort and support, whereas with these other products, you're losing a little bit of your comfort and support every night that you sleep on it. And so
Right.
after just a couple of years, and it's very common to hear people say, wow, it's just 2 years. After 2 years, I was starting to wake up with back pain and so forth. And that's unfortunately how rapidly the materials that are used in traditional bedding will break down.
I don't know if you feel your ears burning every morning, but the saying, if your ears are burning, someone's thinking about you. But every morning I think about you and your company because of how grateful I am when I wake up and I am so comfortable and so well rested. And I know that kind of sounds over the top, but when you have the best sleep of your life, I mean, that's kind of all I think about every morning is how grateful I am for my Intellibed. So I just, and the other friends I have that have Intellibed as well have shared the same thing. It's not just me. But yeah, any listener who has one, feel free to contact me and let me know what your experience is. I always love to hear it. You can email me, ashley@learntruehealth.com. Listeners who want to check out the Intellibed website that I mentioned with the 2 videos that get into more detail, and also the Learn True Health exclusive, they can go to learntruehealth.com/bed. Now, you also have, my understanding is that I believe it's through Wells Fargo that you create a payment plan for those who don't have a few $1,000s saved up to buy a bed, but that they're really interested in owning a bed. Is that correct?
Absolutely. We offer financing on approved credit, and we have a number of different financing packages. And we really also need to identify the deal that we're talking about here, because we're giving your followers a great deal that they're not going to get anywhere else. So should we just review the promotion, the special that we're talking about here?
Absolutely. And I worked with your company. So this is something I do with anytime I really, really believe in something. I've done this with Sunlight and Saunas and a few other companies I really, really believe in that are making a difference in my life. I always ask for a really great deal for my listeners. You've given us 10% off, free shipping, and then my favorite, 2 free Intelli pillows, which have made such a difference for my neck. And I would have taken both of them for me, but I was nice enough to give my husband one. So my husband has one and I have one, and we don't need any more. We feel amazing with them. And but like I said, they're hypoallergenic, but it's this very interesting sensation of, like you say, it's firm and soft at the same time, and it supports you 100%, but it doesn't cut off any blood circulation. So it really is this perfect material for a pillow. And then the free mattress protector, which is mandatory for me because my son is allergic to dust mites. And so that is the Learn True Health exclusive. Go to learntruehealth.com/bed to check it out. Bob, this has been wonderful having you here. I feel like the hours just flown by. Is there anything you'd like to leave us with? Are there any stories of success or any stories that you love conveying about those who use Intellibed?
Oh boy, there are just so many. I'll tell you. I mean, we're setting up a new factory right now because thanks to people like you, Ashley, who are helping us get the word out there. The demand's increasing, and I've got an employee that works for me, and this is not unusual. I've got a number of employees that came to work for us because they believe so much in the technology. But this good soul was literally in significant pain every night. It was back pain. He's got lower back problems, and he came to work, heard all the stories that we were telling, was completely skeptical about it, and he got him on an Intellibed, and it's literally changed his life. He's back to his old self, not struggling with the pain that he had before. And it's just really gratifying and really typical of the kind of stories that we hear, especially people who haven't slept in years, and all of a sudden they've given up on having a good night's sleep, and they're sleeping again. And it's giving them their lives back. And that to me has been one of the most gratifying things of what we've done, is just helping people to live the lifestyle that they want to live. It's been very gratifying. So again, I just really want to thank you for the opportunity to share our story with your followers. We're going to take care of your customers. If the bed doesn't work for you, then we're going to take it back. But by far, most of the experiences that we have are this kind of experience where it's been really life changing.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Another thing I forgot to mention is my husband and I have always liked different styles. He likes a firm mattress, I like a soft mattress. So we thought there's no way we're ever going to find something that we can both agree on. And we both like the firm and softness of the Intellibed. So it's perfect for those people who like think they need some kind of numbers bed where the one person sleeps soft and the other person sleeps hard. It doesn't, this is perfect. This is right across the board, the perfect amount of support and softness at the same time. So I love it so much. Another thing I did is go through your website and read all the testimonials, and the stories that people share are pretty moving. There's people who have shared that they are like, there was this one veteran I remember reading about, and he was in so much pain for years from the amount of damage his body took from being in the Middle East, and he also had post-traumatic stress. He had mental health issues, and of course lack of sleep and anxiety and waking up in the night with nightmares. All of that, really, he didn't realize that it was his bed, but the Intellibed was something that allowed him to sleep deeply, and he noticed that he wasn't, his nightmares and his anxiety were diminishing, and it gave him his life back. It was part of his healing journey, was making sure that he was having the best sleep possible, and of course his pain also diminished, which was, I think he said he was like, had given up on sleeping on mattresses altogether and was sleeping in a recliner until someone turned him on to Intellibed. So it's just these wonderful stories that are on your website, which are so phenomenal, and I love it. But anyone who's having problems with health, with sleep, with pain, they got to try it. And I love that you give that 90-day guarantee so that people have no risk and that they can experience it for themselves. Bob, it's been so wonderful having you here. Is there anything left unsaid? Is there anything that you'd like to share to wrap up today's interview?
Yeah, well, you talked about my ears burning. No, actually, it helps me sleep better at night, knowing knowing that we've created a product that is really helping people. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention is to make sure that when you call in or when you order online, I want to mention that our sleep experts that you talk to on the phone, they're not going to try to close you. They're not going to try to hard sell you into buying a bed, but they are going to try to understand what your unique likes and dislikes are and what your needs are. And they're going to sell you the right bed. They're not going to sell you the most expensive bed. We have a couple of different models that we offer in our organics line, which has an organic cover on it. So don't be afraid, even if you're adverse to talking to salespeople, about calling in. They'll take good care of you, I promise. And then when you do call in, make sure you mention Ashley's code so that you get the deal. And that is
LTH, as in Learn True Health.
Learn True Health, LTH. And they'll know that you're Ashley's follower, and they'll make sure that you get all the freebies that we talked about.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bob. It's been wonderful having you on the show. And thank you for your bed. I thank you every morning when I wake up now.
You are so welcome. Thank you.
Hello, True Health Seeker. Have you ever thought about becoming a health coach? Do you love learning about nutrition and how we can shift our lifestyle and our diet so that we can gain optimal health and happiness and longevity? Do you love helping your friends and family to solve their health problems and to figure out what they can do to eat healthier? Are you interested in becoming someone who can grow their own business, support people in their success? Do you love helping people? You might be the perfect candidate to become a health coach. I highly recommend checking out the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. I just spent the last year in their health coaching certification program, and it really blew me away. It was so amazing. I learned over 100 dietary theories. I learned all about nutrition, but from a standpoint of how we can help people to shift their life and shift their lifestyle to gain true holistic health. I definitely recommend you check them out. You can Google Institute for Integrative Nutrition or IIN and give them a call, or you can go to learntruehealth.com/coach and you can receive a free module of their training to check it out and see if it's something that you'd be interested in. Be sure to mention my name, Ashley James, and the Learn True Health podcast, because I made a deal with them that they will give you the best price possible. I highly recommend checking it out. It really changed my life to be in their program, and I'm such a big advocate that I wanted to spread this information. We need more health coaches. In fact, health coaching is the largest growing career right now in the health field. So many health coaches are getting in and helping people because you can work in chiropractic offices, doctors' offices, you can work in hospitals, you can work online through Skype and help people around the world. You can become an author, you can go into the school system and help your local schools shift their programs to help children be healthier. You can go into senior centers and help them to shift their diet and lifestyle to best support them in their success and their health goals. There's so many different available options for you when you become a certified health coach. So check out IIN, check out the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, mention my name, get the best deal. Give them a call and they'll give you lots of free information and help you to see if this is the right move for you. Classes are starting soon. The next round of classes are starting at the end of the month. So you're going to want to call them now and check it out. And if you know anyone in your life who would be an amazing coach, please tell them about it. Being a health coach is so rewarding and you get to help so many people.
Are you looking to optimize your health? Are you looking to get the best supplements at the lowest price? For high quality supplements and to talk to someone about what supplements are best for you, go to takeyoursupplements.com and one of our fantastic True Health coaches will help you pick out the right supplements for you that are the highest quality and the best price. That's takeyoursupplements.com. takeyoursupplements.com. That's takeyoursupplements.com. Be sure to ask about free shipping and our awesome referral program.